Welcome to Noir Alley. I'm Eddie Muller, coming to you from bar 355. This week, I couldn't decide if I wanted to show a traditional murder story or a boxing drama. So I went with a picture that's a combination of both. Sort of body and soul crossed with The Postman Always Rings Twice. But since it's called Bad Blonde and stars the scandalous starlet Barbara Payton, it's pretty obvious which half of that combination packs the heavier punch. But Payton is not the only one providing the sexy allure. The filmmakers spend just as much, if not more time, exploiting the fleshy appeal of young star Tony Wright, a former amateur boxer being groomed for stardom as a sort of British version of Tab Hunter. In fact, in England, where it was made, the picture was released in 1953 as The Flanagan Boy, and the promotion mainly focused on the sex appeal of its male star, who was making his movie debut. This is one of several pictures made in a joint venture between Hammer in the UK and Robert Lippert, an American producer of mostly B movies. Lippert provided American stars to ensure these British-made B films would get a release in the United States. This one, for example, had the title changed to capitalize on Barbara Payton's notoriety in this country. In September of 1951, Payton ate up ink in the gossip columns for being the real-life femme fatale in a romantic rivalry between her soon-to-be husband, actor French Ottone, and her lover, actor and former boxer Tom Neal, known around here as the star of the legendary B noir Detour. Neal cracked Tone's skull in a fistfight, and as a result, all their careers were hospitalized. Payton, who had recently had a hit with Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye with Jimmy Cagney, had seemed headed for stardom when the scandal made her persona non grata in Hollywood. But the opportunistic Mr. Lippert found her this gig in England, where Hammer happily exploited the sensationalism surrounding the actress. The selling point was having this sexy American tramp seduce their pure virginal Brit. And Payton had no problem leaning into the stereotype, which is pretty much what she'd do for the rest of her short, troubled life. This story is such a blatant knockoff of The Postman Always Rings Twice, you might assume it was dashed off by some journeyman hack. But Max Caddo, whose novel provided the source material, was just getting started on what would be a long, versatile career as a novelist and a playwright. 10 of his books were made into films, including Trapeze, A Prize of Gold, Fire Down Below, Seven Thieves, and Murphy's War. Richard Landau, the co-screenwriter, also had an extremely long and varied career. In fact, he has a hand in writing all the Hammer films I'll be showing this year on Noir Alley. When writing stuff like this, originality was not the point. The writer's job was to provide just enough to produce something watchable on absolutely no budget. The lone wrinkle in this script, Payton's husband being a garrulous Italian with an old-world family, may have been influenced by co-screenwriter Guy Elms's working on many Italian co-productions. And let's just say that Frederick Valk, who plays Giuseppe Vecchi, gives a generous performance, as in a little bit of this guy goes a long way. Also starring Sid James, on the cusp of becoming one of the most well-known performers in England, and directed by Hollywood veteran Reginald Laborg, another Lippert contribution. Here is The Flanagan Boy, also known as Bad Blonde.